That's for the real trip.
Yeah. Ready?
Yep.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please stay standing while we mention those who have passed since our last meeting. Sophia Mayo-Dzuski. Aileen Joan Gladakis. Wallace B. Stone. Roll call, Mike.
Here.
Paul.
Here.
Kathy.
Here.
Bill.
Here.
Yes, whole board. Everybody's phone is on silent.
Yep.
Fire exits are right behind us here, down the fire escape. Don't use the elevator or the stairs. This is the way out. There's the problem. Correspondence,
Nothing.
attorney concerns,
Yeah, nothing we have to discuss.
petitioners, anyone in the audience, anybody on Zoom, if you do have any kind of comments, one at a time, come to the podium. First person, Cindy Wagner. Or come up and state that you're Cindy Wagner.
Hello, I'm Cindy Wagner.
Hello, Cindy. Hello, Cindy.
I am here about, I have some questions about the town board resolution to authorize for more money for the town garage. And some questions that I kind of thought maybe we ought to, as the public ought to know. First off is why do we need $2 million more? Because usually estimates are padded by quite a bit, which gives wiggle room for everybody and would make you guys look better if you came in under the budget. No answers? What is the new updated cost to the property owner? And is it per property or per $100,000 of assessed value? That matters, and then will this number be the same every year or is it a varying number? When is it going to start showing up on our tax bills? And will it have its own line to keep it separate from the yearly town highway budget? People need to know yesterday so they can start saving for the extra expense they will have to figure into our already overburdened budgets. Seniors and low-income earners are going to withstand yet another expense. On the paperwork that I read, the great big long sheet you had up, it said maximum 11 million total, and then there was the word estimate there by it. Does this mean in 6 months you can or will come back for more money? And how long is this bond? Is it for 25 years? Just wanted to also make a comment because I made a big deal of it over the weekend, so I'm going to address it. Originally, a special meeting was set for Monday, the 13th, 3 p.m., and the legal notice was posted in the Kingston Freeman in regards to more funding for the town barn. It was the only legal notice that the town had posted there in at least a year, so I was a bit surprised. And thank you, Cassie, for letting me know that there was no meeting, it was canceled, so I didn't waste my gas. After learning a valuable lesson last year about permissive referendums, I always read legal notices which constantly appear in the Shawangunk Journal. Isn't the Shawangunk Journal our town's local paper of record? If not, who and what other newspapers does the town use for legal notices? This is important for the voting citizens and our town, and apparently, maybe the town board member needs to know so this mistake doesn't happen again too. If someone was a suspicious type, they would think what you did, that you didn't want anybody to know about the meeting until it was over. It's not easy to look voters in the eye and give them bad news. I will never understand why you picked the worst time with our economy in shambles after COVID and lockdowns to purchase a new barn when the new barn had been in discussion for over a decade, with the first draft being drawn up probably about that same time. The decisions you make on this board has effect on everyone in our community. Maybe more news coverage of the bigger decisions should have better coverage and explanations. And just a little side note that I was thinking, if this bond is for 25 years, in April I turned 65. So my entire golden years up to 90, if God's willing I live that long, I will be paying off this loan. That's a really interesting and scary thought. Thank you. And I hope this answers.
Can you leave those
Yes.
questions?
Yes, and I hope this answers to some of these questions because it's important. Sorry, excuse me.
Thank you.
So we can get answers to.
Mr. Marlin, come on up.
Hello, Tommy Merlin.
Hello, Tommy.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
I was just curious, throughout the resolution, I was reading the resolution, and,
Tommy, can you hold on one second?
Tommy, can we, yeah, it's 7:05.
So procedurally, the way this has to work is we'll come back to you, because at 7:05 we have to start a public hearing.
And then we'll come back to you.
We'll make sure everybody gets their conversation. So since it's 7:05, we have a public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing is to receive input and comments from the public regarding local law 23, local law to update the administration and enforcement of the New York State Uniform Fire Prevention Code and Building Code and Energy Conservation Construction Code. So at this point, I have a motion to open the public hearing.
I make it.
Second.
Paul makes the motion, Bill seconds it. Aye. And is anybody on Zoom or?
Anyone here to make a
public?
comment about that?
It's a procedural matter. All right, so at this particular time, with no public comments,
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Paul makes a motion, Cassie seconds it, all, that's a roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Cassie?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Okay, and.
Now back to
This one
petitioners.
As well. The Wawarsing Town Board by resolution directs the code enforcement officer to conduct an inspection of an unsafe structure owned by Harry Eunice Sanderson located at 327 Wawarsing, New York, tax map, section 83.3, block 2, lot 2, and report the findings thereof in writing to the town board.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Cassie makes a motion, Mike seconds, is a roll call vote. Mike? Paul?
Aye.
Cassie?
Aye.
Aye.
And I vote aye. That resolution is carried.
Now we can go back to the petitioners.
Go back.
Right. So, Mr. Marley, you wanna come back up?
is there a number for this resolution, for the additional money, for the extra $2 million? Or no?
It does get a number when I put it into the minutes, when it's recorded.
And then is this, subject to a second meeting before you vote on it? Or no?
No.
A second public hearing? No?
No.
You can vote, you can vote tonight? All right, so before you vote tonight, then, throughout the resolution, you have numbers, the old number, 9.1 million. And then you have that divided up, 7,450,000 for the new building, 1.65 million for the old building, and then for the $2 million, you also split that up. But then when you get to the cost for the taxpayers, all it says is there shall annually be levied on all taxable real property in said town a sufficient tax sufficient to pay the principal of interest and on such bonds as the same become due and payable. So I just thought that just as important as having those other numbers, how that money was being spent, I thought that we should have in here how much that number is going to be for the taxpayers. Is there a reason we don't have that?
I can answer that. It goes out to bid at the time that the bond is, and when the construction's complete. So a year and a half from now.
So you don't go by the
So
11 million?
you don't know if it's gonna be, 3%, 3.5%, 4%, 4.5%, 5%. And you don't know if it's gonna be 11.1 or if it's gonna be 9.2 or 10.5.
Okay.
So this is the maximum amount. And the rate isn't fixed till the bond is sold, and that's not till
All right,
the work's done.
makes
So
sense.
the estimates that were given earlier were, I know the engineering company did it on, same thing, 3%, 3.5%, 4%, 4.5%. because you don't know what the interest rate's gonna be.
Right.
And you don't know what the amount's gonna be.
Yeah, and on that original
We give you a
number,
worst case scenario.
I was trying to, and Cindy also, I know, was trying to get an answer on, it was like $92, don't hold me to that number, but $92,
For the average household.
oh, for the average house, and is that $92 per 100,000 for the average house?
No,
Or
no, no, that's
just for the
total
property?
bill. Total bill.
Total.
And I believe it's a 15-year bond, the answer to Cindy's question.
Oh.
It's not 25, it's 15. And
If it's helpful, this
So
is
you
Mary
won't
Beth
agree.
Keller
Hello?
Engineering, and
Tom,
we can,
hold
we
on
can
a
walk
second.
through some of that, if
Mary
that's
Beth,
helpful.
Mary Beth, hold on for a second. I got the petitioner, Mr. Marley and Mr. Collier talking, but yes, Mary Beth Biancani is from Delaware Engineering here. She's the person that's, the point person on this project, so let's, have a conversation with Mary Beth.
Yeah, I mean, my question,
So perhaps what I could do is I
Mr.
could,
Collier,
I wrote down
Attorney
the
Collier,
questions
you
of
can
the person previously, and I can walk through, those as well as at least the ones you brought up so far, and that I think will help with the conversation.
great.
Okay, thank you.
So, the first question was, why is the project more expensive than we thought it was going to be? I think most people have been experiencing, inflation in one way or another in their own personal lives. I think it's been experienced at the grocery store and the gas pump and at Home Depot and everywhere that you go and you attempt to spend money. And this project is no different. The project was put out to bid. The original $9.1 million was set in 2022, in May of 2022, and the project just went out to bid. So some time has gone by, and we have all seen that inflation has affected costs. So while we had included, I think the prior person said, why wouldn't you include a contingency or have enough money so that you wouldn't need additional money? Well, we had planned on that. We had actually included additional cost in here to try to accommodate any changes in inflation. But one thing I think that if you do some research, you will see that even the best economists have not been able to predict the change in the cost of labor and commodities over the last, let's say, 9 months or a year or even longer. So while there was an attempt to try to accommodate a full project cost, the costs of inflation have affected this project like they've affected everything else in our everyday lives and all construction projects. There was a question about the cost to property owners, and is it expressed as dollars per thousand of assessed value, or is it the impact to taxpayers? And the gentleman was actually also just asking this question. And as the person earlier described, until the bond is sold, there isn't a way of knowing what the interest rate will be. So as discussed and as was included in the original flyer when this project was first discussed before the town board back in 2022, we conducted an evaluation using a variety of interest rates ranging from 3% to 4.5%. Someone also asked about the term, how long will this bond be out for repayment? And in addition, there was a question about why the project cost was divided into the costs for the new building and the costs for the existing building. The reason is because, and this is a good thing, local finance laws not allow communities to borrow money for something in a timeline that exceeds its value, how long it's going to be around, how long it's going to be useful. So the bond counsel for this project, who is an attorney who does a lot of this work, evaluated the cost split between repairing the old building and the new building, and then looked at how many years what's called the period of probable usefulness is likely to be for this project, and settled on, at the moment, a term of 23 years for repaying the debt. So the calculations that have been done have been based on a range of interest rates ranging between 3% and 4.5%, going up by 0.5% increments for a term of 23 years. As someone stated previously, the prior analysis, when the project cost was believed to be $9.1 million, resulted in a cost to the average taxpayer on an annual basis, this is based on assessed values, of about $94.02 if the interest rate is 3.5%, or $98.86 if the interest rate was 4%. So essentially just under $100 to the average taxpayer. Someone asked about what was the cost per thousand of assessed value. In that analysis, that cost ranged between 48 cents and 51 cents per thousand of assessed value. The increase in project costs to 11.1 million, which as described is intended to be a maximum project cost, not a target, but a cap, a top. That results using the same information, range of interest rates from 3% up to 4.5% with a term of 23 years. It results in a potential impact, and again, these are all because we don't know until the closing actually happens, which is a couple years out, but a range of costs per thousand of assessed values, for round figures we'll say between 60 cents and 62 cents per thousand of assessed value. That results in an increase over what was previously discussed, which was just under $100 for the average taxpayer property owner in the town, to just over $100. So the average taxpayer in the town under this scenario, the interest rate was 3.5%. The tax impact would be about $114.89 a year, $115 a year. If the interest rate was 4%, it would be about $121 a year to pay back this bonded debt over the course of 23 years. So another question that was asked was, will this show up as a separate line on the tax bills? And someone at the town will need to answer that question, but it is my understanding that it would be part of the general tax of the town and not necessarily a separate line item.
I believe that's right.
I'm just reading the rest of these questions. I may be missing a couple. One of them was regarding the newspaper notice, and the only thing I will say about that is that the timeline for this project, general municipal law of the state of New York
This is the 45 days.
provides that bidders who bid on public works projects have to hold their bid prices for a period of 45 days after bids are received. That doesn't mean that after 45 days, the bids dissolve and they're gone and they can't be utilized, but that is the length of time that a bidder must hold their prices that they submit on any given bid day. A bidder can agree to hold their prices longer if they choose to, if there's some good reason why there needs to be additional time. In this case, bids were received, we conducted a bid evaluation. There were 4 contracts that were let. It was a general construction contract, an electrical contract, mechanical contract, and a plumbing contract. Each one of those contracts had 3 bidders. The bid documents are complex, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of numbers. Those bid documents were received at Town Hall by the town clerks, required by law. We then took that information, a copy of that information actually, the actual bid documents remain with the town, and we evaluated it and checked it for compliance with the bid requirements, mathematical errors, those kinds of things, and also evaluated where the bids came in relative to where we had predicted they might be, to see if there was something that could have explained why the prices came in higher than we anticipated. And in conducting that review, we then subsequently had a meeting with the supervisor, the highway superintendent, a board member, the town's attorney, which is typical that we would review our analysis of the situation. What we found is that by and large, bids actually came in where we had anticipated they would come in 2022 with one exception. And that has to do with site work. If people are familiar with the location of the existing highway garage, that site is bordered by sand and gravel mine and has been compacted over the years by highway vehicles driving on it and other things. A very, very conservative way of looking at conducting the project is that any materials that might cause settling in the building in the future, those kinds of things should be removed from the site and replaced with known quantities of materials. That has a very extreme cost to it. It's a guaranteed way to make sure you have a building that doesn't have any issues in the future, but there's a cost that's associated with that. We've recommended to the town, we've actually already initiated a process of working to reduce that cost by conducting some additional evaluations on the site. Nevertheless, as we walked through the bid documents with the town and evaluated these, because the pricing for all of the other elements of the project, with the exception of this extraordinary excavation work, came in as anticipated a year ago, the recommendation was made that the town board consider increasing the project cost. It is very unlikely in our experience that if the project were to be redesigned and rebid, because it takes time, that project cost would be less. It's very unlikely, especially given the current climate. That being the case, and this gets back to the why was the meeting scheduled for Monday, we recommended that the town work hard to try to stay within the 45-day timeline provided in general municipal law to award bids. Because again, as we started this conversation, we have a highly volatile situation in the marketplace with respect to costs, inflation, labor, materials. The bids that were received were on budget with one exception of this site work, which we're working to reduce right now. And so it appears that it would be reasonable for the board to work to award these contracts when they have good prices in hand. That is what drove that Monday notice timeframe. Today is only Thursday, and you might say that's only a few more days. This was a regularly scheduled meeting. Why would that matter? By conducting the meeting today and taking this into consideration today, the quickest that this can potentially have an award will be just outside of that 45-day time frame that contractors are required to hold their prices for the town under this current bid. We reached out to the contractors to get an informal opinion from them that if the timeline were to be extended by a few days to a week beyond the 45 days, would they continue to be willing to hold the prices that they offered, because they are, again, we look at them relative to other projects in other communities, they are competitive, good, low prices. They all indicated that they would be willing to do so, so we did recommend that the town do what it could to expedite conducting this meeting that we're having tonight regarding this. With respect to the newspaper, I think the town can address that, but it's my understanding that in the past, the town did have notices at times in the other newspaper, but it apparently was not the official newspaper of the town, and that's why, when that was discovered, that meeting was canceled and it was rescheduled as a resolution for this evening.
Appropriately, yes.
Okay, Mary Beth, thank you. I think you answered most of the questions, but just to follow up on that last thing. We knew we had to have the meeting on Monday in order to stay within the 45 days because there's a 30-day permissive referendum component to adopting a bond resolution. So we had to get a notice in the meeting. So for the 20-some years I've been town attorney, the Middletown Record and the Kingston Freeman, which are daily papers, have been the alternate town newspaper. For some totally unexplained reason, when we had the organizational meeting this year, we did not approve an alternate newspaper, which is on tonight's agenda to take care of that oversight. So even though we did put the notice in there, we subsequently realized that for some unexplained reason, they were not the alternate official newspaper of the town. So the notice, quite frankly, was void. So we canceled the meeting because you can't have a meeting without giving at least 48 hours prior notice. So it was unintentional. It
And
was
the other thing to
paper-
go along with
paper
that is,
snafu.
we were beyond the deadline to get it into the Journal. That's why we had to go to the next newspaper.
So we're doing it tonight. That's all.
All right, so Mary Beth, is that what it was? Mary Beth, so the $2 million is being asked for time, this may be for the town, I don't know. But, so the additional $2 million, is that already based on the new bids, or is that a new cushion? I thought before when you were talking, it sounded like it was a new cushion.
It's a little bit of both. The bid prices, if we were to take all of the low bids and add them up, the total value of all of the bids, and this again is for the general construction, which includes site work and construction of the buildings, as well as rehabilitation, so the structure, the architecture, the electrical bids, the mechanical work, and the plumbing. If we add those all up, we come up to $10,162,200. So the $11 million that is in the bond resolution tonight is two things. It's a maximum project cost, and it's a maximum amount that could potentially be bonded. Doesn't require that amount is bonded, it's just the maximum that could be bonded. So in order to provide cushion for any unknown or unforeseen circumstances, and to account for not just the cost of construction, but also the cost of engineering, legal work that other equipment that the town will be purchasing to put in the building, for instance, a compressor and other things that will be purchased separately from these contracts. That's where we've recommended that we've added some additional cushion so that, because I think that was one of the questions before was, you're gonna come back to us in 6 months and ask for more money? The idea is no, that is the reason why that number is as high as it is to accommodate those other costs that are known, as well as provide some additional cushion for anything that is unforeseen. Is very, very common, and it is certainly best practice to include something called contingency on large construction projects. Contingency is budget that's set aside if there's an unforeseen subsurface condition that's uncovered, or some other thing that is not known, for which costs might be incurred, then we want to make sure that there's some budget available to cover it. However, no one's obligated to spend that money. We just need to make sure it's available so that it can be utilized if it's necessary.
Right. So, I believe, I'm not quoting you because I can't remember for a fact, but I was at the open house at the town barn, and they mentioned the overage that comes with these projects all the time to Councilman Tuzolino, and I believe he said that there was a 20% contingency already into the 9.1. So now that got wiped out with the new estimates that came in, the 1.8 million, which was 20% of the 9.1 million, roughly 20% of the 9 million. So that 1.8 million contingency got wiped out with the estimates, when the estimates came in?
So what happened, remember I mentioned that extraordinary cost for site work?
Right.
That extraordinary cost for site work was essentially the entire contingency.
Correct, all right, so that's what I was trying to.
Yeah, she was saying earlier that the 3 projects came in where you thought they were gonna come in, correct?
Well, at the
Yeah,
three
the
components.
only thing that was over was the site work.
Correct.
Right,
And
right.
we're,
Yeah, that was.
are we working on that to make that less?
Yes.
How are we working on that? My red ball here on the screen, if you can see that, is our structural engineer, Cody, who can describe what we are doing to address that.
Hello, Cody.
Yeah, so currently what we are doing is we are having, the geotechnical engineer is gonna come back out to the site. We are gonna dig test pits to get a larger sample of the soil that's on the site directly below the building. They're gonna dig down through that undocumented manfill, as they call it, and they are going to do additional testing to determine whether the on-site soils can be reused, recompacted, or if removed, they could be potentially reused for the town to possibly use for other purposes and not have to dig down the 10 to 12 feet that the small soil sample that were taken a couple of years ago indicate that we need to do. So likely with these test pits, we'll have some results here in the next couple weeks and be able to value engineer a reduction in the amount of soil that is taken off the site, which has a pretty high cost for trucking and hauling and disposing. The building is 200 feet by 80 feet, and so digging down that volume 10 feet, that's an enormous amount of soil to remove from the site.
Can you tell us what the problem soil is that requires a 12-foot plan?
So, the soil that's there on the existing site is, what they do in the initial phases of it, they'll take an 8-inch diameter auger core and put this casing down and grab the samples. And what they end up doing is they drop a 150-pound hammer on the drill rig, and it counts how many blows it takes, how many times they have to drop the hammer for that casing to penetrate the soil 18 inches. Typically for buildings on conventional spread foundations, we like to have N values of around 20 and higher. The N values for the first 10 to 12 feet of the soil are in the 4 to 5 range. So the building, if it was built on those soils, based on the small 8-inch diameter core samples that were taken, geotechnical engineer has a concern that the building will settle excessively and settle differentially, which can lead to cracking in the slabs and lead to doors being inoperable after a few years.
So essentially, like for super engineers, right? You think about this site is surrounded by sand and gravel mines. And we all know about sand's ability to hold up heavy things is not terrific, right? So essentially, this is an area where we shouldn't be surprised that the soils are not they're not structural, they're not able to hold up potentially lots of weight. It's going to be an enormous building with a huge concrete slab. So when the original tests are done, this is typical for these projects, they're done as Cody outlined. It's a small core that's taken in a pattern to obtain a number of different locations within the footprint of the building. That information is what led the geotechnical engineer, and this is their job, is to recommend the most conservative thing that they can, because the job is to make sure that the building doesn't settle into, nothing, right? So they recommended in their report, which was included in the bid documents, that soil, which was very poorly, able to hold up heavy weight, be removed from the site, and that new structural fill be brought in where the foundations were poured. So moving all that soil, as Cody said, is very expensive. It's gotten more expensive with everything that's going on in the construction industry right now. But as Cody indicated, one of the remedies, and he's spoken with the soils engineer and with the apparent low bidder, would be to take a larger sample, much larger area, and evaluate if, in fact, all of that soil really does need to be the site in order to have a solid place where the foundations can be poured to support the building. So that's what's going to happen next. And then as a result of that additional testing, as Cody said, there can be some value engineering done to determine that less soil may need to be removed from the site, and less structural fill replaced on the site, which will reduce that cost, which was essentially the contingency in the original project that was put together for that $9.1 million. and less structural fill replaced on the site, which will reduce that cost, which was essentially the contingency in the original project that was put together for that $9.1 million.
Jerry, how was the old building construction compared to the new one? How was that one done? Does anybody know?
No. I can't find. Did
you hear that question,
Mary Beth?
Yeah, so I think, and Tony, I think you started to answer this, we do not, that building is rather old, and we do not have any detailed construction plans for that building. So we do not know what was done when that building was constructed with respect to its foundation, or if there was excavation and fill. We just don't, I believe, and Tony can chime in, but I don't believe we have that information. I think the building was just too old.
I'm gonna understand, we can't find anything.
1972?
I know when we done the salt shed, they wanna do the same thing. We found out it wasn't that bad, after they come in, we dug some holes. So.
We dug a couple of
holes.
holes, I was there with you.
Theoretically, we gotta see what happens here. They wanna dig a big hole, I don't think they wanna drill holes. They think-
Well, I don't understand, they took the core samples years ago, when I was there. How is that gonna be different from just digging a bigger hole, just comparison to doing the drilling 8-inch core samples? What's gonna change? What's, if the soil's bad, the soil's bad. I don't understand what's it gonna prove by digging bigger holes?
I'm gonna look and see, from what we were told, was backfilled in there some time ago when they bought Stan's property.
Yeah.
That's where one of the corners are. And they're all concerned about that.
I think Colton
They
said
just
they're
know
gonna
about that.
Do a larger area, not just the same hole. Is that right, Cody? You're gonna do a larger area?
Yeah.
More holes in a bigger area?
Yes.
Every corner.
The soil and the geotechnical visual observations of the soil. The test pits usually range from 3 to 5 feet wide. They'll look at the soil that's produced on the site, because what ends up happening is the geotechnical engineer with the 8-inch diameter core sample, you're getting just that pocket vertically down 30 feet. If you move that core sample, say 5 feet one way or the other, you get a totally different core sample. So what the geotechnical engineer does is from the amount of core samples that are taken within the building footprint, they interpolate that across the site. So with these test pits being dug, we'll have a greater representation of what is out on the site, and the geotechnical engineer can make that determination of they don't need to go down 10 to 12 feet. We just got to go down to the bottom of the footing elevation and put 1 foot of compacted fill, and then all of the soil that's removed from the interior of the building might be strong enough to support a concrete slab on grade, rather than having to import another 4 feet of fill to support the slab on grade.
Does anybody know how much longer Woodburn Lawn and Garden's gonna be at their site?
No idea, no.
Because I think their mining's coming to an end in the future. Just wondering if that was more feasible to see if they would sell that site and build, and you'd have a lot more room there for your facility.
I couldn't tell you, Tom.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
you definitely, with the 2 buildings, you're restricting how much area you have to work with now, with storage of, your pipe and stockpiles of material and stuff. It just, I don't know, you might be able to purchase another piece of property and put the building up and have a bigger piece of property for the amount of money you're spending on this project. I don't know.
So the other component here is time. If we don't get these contracts awarded and let, soon, we will not be able to finish construction this year. Right, Tony? And so, if we don't get going soon, we're gonna wait another year at least. And the current building is deteriorating rapidly, and prices will not go down, at least historically, they don't go down, so there's no advantage to pushing this project out another year or 2 years, from what I can see.
So I have a layman's question, I don't know if it's gonna be too silly, but the soil that's bad is, according to Bill, is a sand. That can't be used for the roads by the town highway department? It can't be left there and used?
No, we could do something with it. That's what we're trying to do.
That's what it is. I understand.
I mean, I understand the cost of still digging it, but
If that becomes the case, yeah, that would be.
We could use it. We won't go off-site, we'll go up some.
We're hoping it doesn't turn into, the existing building is gonna be rehab, but the new building is 80. Close the public hearing? What we have to do?
No, that wasn't.
It
That
wasn't,
wasn't
this
called
is a
here.
comment period.
No,
Okay,
that was
comment
public
period.
hearing.
Yep.
That was just
Okay.
petitioners.
I was thinking about the previous one that we
Yep.
had, yeah.
Let's get to the next resolution.
Okay,
Do the public hearing.
not yet. So we're on the top of the second page?
Yep.
Wawarsing Town Board by resolution authorizes supervisor to enter into an agreement with the state of New York for financial assistance for FAA project number 3-36-0201-044-2022, New York State SPIN 8907.37, Joseph Y. Resnick Airport, Taxiway A, North Pavement Rehabilitation and Connector Taxiways Reconfiguration Design. That was a mouthful.
Yep. So moved.
Second.
Paul made the motion,
No,
and
Bill.
Bill made the motion, and who seconded it?
I did.
All right, so that would be a roll call vote. Mike?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. That resolution is carried. The Wawarsing Town Board by resolution adopts to supplement the bond resolution dated May 19th, 2022 to authorize, subject to permissive referendum, the issuance of an additional $2 million of bonds of the Town of Wawarsing, Ulster County, New York, to pay the cost of construction of a new highway garage and reconstruction of the existing highway garage in and for said town at a revised maximum estimated of $11.1 million.
I'll move it.
Second.
Cassie makes that motion, Mike seconds it, it's a roll call vote. Michael?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Cassie?
Aye.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The resolution's carried. The town board by resolution adopts to establish a new application fee for the zoning board of appeals by the town board of the town of Wawarsing.
So moved.
Second.
Bill makes a motion, Mike seconds it, it's a roll call vote. Mike?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Cassie?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
I've got a resolution, Terry.
Was that $250, right? The fees?
Yeah,
Right.
75.
Okay.
I've got a resolution.
Okay, since it was, you can read it.
It's hereby resolved that local law number 1 of 2023 be adopted to update and be in compliance with the New York State Uniform Fire Prevention Code and Building Code and Energy Conservation Construction Code effective upon file with the Secretary of State, adopted 2/16/23.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, Mike makes the motion, Cassie seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Actually, that's a resolution,
Roll
right?
call, it's a resolution, okay?
Yes, sir.
So that's a roll call vote. Mike?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Cassie?
Aye.
Bill? And I vote aye.
Aye.
The resolution is carried, not the motion. Budget mods?
6, budget mods.
Bill Fire. Bill Brown
In
will,
the general A, we have to increase the expense code 6510.4A by $500. Increase expense code 7989.4A by $16,000. Increase expense code 7550.4A by $15,000. And we're going to decrease expense code 1990.4 by $31,500. In the general B, we're gonna increase expense code 7989.4B by $5,000 and decrease expense code 1994B by $5,000.
I'm sorry, 1994B, you said?
Yes.
Thank you.
The above modifications reflect approved funds for the Shadowland, the VFW, the Knife Museum, the Hunt Memorial Building, MISU, and the 4th of July fireworks.
That motion was made by Bill Kyer, Mike seconded.
Bill Kyer.
No problem.
I'm looking at Bill Kyer, I'm sitting next to Bill Kyer.
No, I'm Bill Brown.
No, you're both.
I'm not that young.
You're not that young? I'm not, well, you're not that young yet. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. There's no other motions, correct? Okay, we can go to bills as audited. We had 3 signatures,
Yes.
So moved.
Bill and Cassie and myself, correct?
Yes.
3. So Bill makes the motion, Cassie seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Now we're gonna be going, number 3, the assessor's report, 4, the building department report, 5, the justice court report, 6, the highway department report, 7, the town clerk's report, 8, the maintenance department report, 9, the dog controller's report, 10, the tax collector's report, and 11, the recreation department report.
I'll move 3 through 11.
Second.
Bill Brown makes the motion, and Mike Machetta seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to approve the Kingston Freeman and the Times Herald Record as official newspapers on an as-needed basis.
So moved.
Second.
Bill Brown makes the motion, and Mike seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. 13, town board to approve the following trips for Ellenville Wawarsing Youth Commission Summer Camp. Let's all give it a clap.
Yes.
Because this is happening and we have something good going on and it's gonna be a better program this year, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And because the board members are gonna work on it with, actually the parents are chipping in right now and
Yep.
getting involved, so I'm excited
So
about that.
moved.
And I should
Second.
stop talking, is that what you said? Okay. Mike makes the motion.
No, I'm
No,
Bill.
Bill made the motion, I
No,
seconded it.
you seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor? It's unanimous. 14, town board to approve the release of remaining money that is being held in escrow in the amount of $2,408.75 for the Oak Ridge 14-lot subdivision. This is per the recommendation of the Town of Wawarsing Planning Board.
So moved.
Second.
Mike makes a motion, Cassie seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. 15, town board to approve the release of remaining money that's being held in escrow in the amount of $690 for the Covelli 2-lot subdivision. This is per the recommendation of the Town of Wawarsing Planning Board.
So moved.
Second.
Mike makes the motion, Paul seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. 16, town board to authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement with Catskill Construction Consultants LLC to perform bulk storage, annual inspection and spill prevention countermeasures plan update for the highway department and Joseph Y. Resnick at a cost not to exceed $1,850 for each.
So moved.
That was a tie.
Second.
So that was Bill Brown makes a motion,
I'll
Mike
concede.
seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. 17, town board to accept the letter of resignation from Damian Petrick, water wastewater maintenance worker, water sewer department. His resignation is effective as of March 1st, 2023.
I'll move it.
So
Second.
moved.
Cassie makes the motion.
With regret.
Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes, we wish Damian Petrick well in his resignation and retirement. Council people, Will Brown.
We've hired a recreation director, and she is doing an outstanding job already. She hit the ground running. We had a successful event at the Ellenville School for a Valentine's Day cookie decoration for kids. We had about 50 kids attend, and some parents there to help out with it. She's got these trips planned. She got a wonderful schedule for the summer camp there. We're looking for volunteers to, well, not volunteers, we're looking for individuals who would like to be employed for the summer. and we're hoping to be able to get an adult for each group, as well as a,
Yeah, that was something new that Nassari talked about, as far as, we've hired 60 to 70 people a year. And historically, we've had a lot of teenagers and whatever, and some of the employees that we're gonna hire right now are gonna be adults, because in some ways it works.
to kind of mentor the teenagers.
Yeah, so it just helps out. And the school is ready to, we're having a meeting, Bill and I, and Lisa Wiles and
March
Vince
8th, we're
Napoli,
having a regular meeting.
with the county, right, Bill? You two guys are,
Sorry,
you
needs
guys,
me.
you both are on the youth commission, so you can discuss the meeting with the county, okay, when it gets to be your turn, okay? So, anything else, Bill?
We have our first youth commission meeting is gonna be on March 8th, I believe, at 5:30.
John Gavard?
Oh, lucky you.
That's terrible.
I'll send you the minutes. I'm sure you're just gonna be,
The weather's always nice, yes.
We're gonna be working with the school there. We've already got prices for the chlorine. The tank will be filled way prior to pool season to make sure that we have chlorine and there's no shortage. Target date is to have the pool painted by May 1st, so that we don't wait till the last minute. And there's a sand filter that needs repair, and our maintenance man is coordinating that as we speak. And we've, have we posted for the payroll clerk item?
Oh, that's Lisa, that's not me.
Oh,
But yes, she
She
did give it to
did.
me, it's on my bulletin board.
Okay.
When is it back? Yeah. Soon, right?
so Nosari was hired to work in the accounting office, and we stole her for the rec department, so we're looking for a payroll person off the civil service list. And it's been posted, and we'll be doing interviews and hopefully get that individual hired right away. And Cindy Schmalzy's last official day of work is tomorrow, and she's off all next week. She's retiring, and we'd like to thank Cindy for her work and her dedication to the town of Wawarsing. And enjoy a long, healthy retirement. And that's it.
Okay, Bill, thank you. Cassie?
so Bill and I are working diligently with Nassari to get the rec department up and functioning. Nassari has got a lot of enthusiasm. Like Bill said, the Valentine's Day event went off without a hitch. And she's currently scheduling a St. Patrick's Day scavenger hunt. More information to follow. You'll check it out on the website, and she will be shooting out email blasts to everybody that was interested in the St. Valentine's event. Will probably be getting a follow-up email concerning the scavenger hunt that she's thinking of having in the village. We're having a pre-bid meeting for the electrical bids for the tank for the Wawarsing Water District tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. After that meeting, Jimmy Montagna, the head of the Water and Sewer Department, and Tony, I'm hoping, and Terry, and one of our engineers from Chasen are going to go up to the transfer station to determine what is necessary and the best way to lay out the piping to get water to the transfer station. So
Presently, it's to the top of the hill, about 700 feet away from the
yeah,
building.
about that. So we're gonna get water and up there.
Can you explain the bid tomorrow a little bit more?
It's a pre-bid meeting. The contractors are interested in bidding on the electrical for the tank and come out and they ask their questions, and if they have any problems with the bid package that went out to them, they do that. And then once the bids come back, Jackie will open them, and we'll see which is the best bid, and we'll run the power up to the tank.
480,000 gallons.
Yes. and we're gonna start, we're getting a start time from subsurface. They gotta be on site as we fill that tank. There's a plan in place to borrow 20,000 gallons a day from Napanock. And because we were able to rehab those wells, we actually have the surplus to give to the tank. So once it's filled, they'll make sure it doesn't leak and that it meets all the codes. And then we'll be able to give water from the tank to the people in the Wawarsing. And that tank, after the wells have the green filters at the water treatment plant are going online as well as part of the electrical package that goes with that. So that will filter the well water and it will go up to the tank once it's all set in place.
Improve the water pressure?
Yes. Once we get power, we're going to have
Point
more.
of asking you to talk about it.
I know, and it's an unfortunate that because right now all of the residents that are connected are receiving their water from Kerhonkson. The closer you get to this end of the district, by the highway garage, they lose pressure because it goes uphill a little bit. But once the tank you're getting your water from the tank. Obviously, it's coming up from the top. It'll come down from the top of the hill, and I think the people at the bottom of the hill. Across the highway garage and the people across the street from them are going to have more pressure than they know what to do with, but we put in valves for that, so they'll be fine. It's just that right now I feel bad that they have very low pressure at the moment, but bear with us. The electrical will be hooked up soon, and then with that we'll be able to fill the tank and we'll get it all online. We're still have a target date for done and dusted by September 1st. If that changes, I'll let anybody know. That's 30 days prior to when they say they're going to shut the aqueduct down in October, so we'd like to give ourselves that cushion. All of our contractors are working beautifully. The connections are going off without a hitch. They're coming to you at the end of April. I knew you were going to ask, Bill. Unless, of course, it snows or freezes. I don't know if either that's going to happen.
You're on lane?
I don't have anything on the ambulance district because I share with Machetta because he took that meeting and I didn't, but he'll get to it. The assessor's office is reminding our seniors that you got your postcard. If you have questions about your star exemption, please call them and they'll help you with that. And that's all I have. It's your turn, Paul.
Thank you very much. Paul?
Okay, actually, we had a very nice, interesting presentation this afternoon from a company called Archtop. They're a fiber optic provider that provides internet and phone service. And I personally think this is a very exciting opportunity. They would like to bring fiber-based phone and internet service to the town of Wawarsing as well as the rest of Ulster County. And there's a couple of, I think, very important benefits that we get out of this. First one is that we finally will have essentially a land-based competition for the existing provider of internet and phone services. And we have the opportunity to expand those services out to unserved areas right now at what sounds like could be a very competitive pricing. So that's something that's not going to happen overnight, but it's something that I think is very exciting. I did not think that we would see fiber in the town of Wawarsing, kind of in our lifetime. And for the town, it could bring very high-speed internet as well as competition to the area. So that's something that I think is very beneficial, and kind of stay tuned as we get more details on how that project may progress.
Yeah, they're going to beat Verizon. That's Verizon a couple years ago said we're not coming.
Yeah, I never thought that we'd have fiber here, but it's very exciting. It's a very, sounds like it's very already financially based from the operating costs and the funding for it. They've got a lot of experience working in upstate New York. And as part of the Digital Citizens Commission that I represent the town on, they've actually been doing presentations to the rest of the towns within the county, correct. I know that the town of Ulster has already signed a memorandum with them, and we're looking right now at the documentation to do something similar with the town of Wawarsing. So stay tuned on that as far as progress goes. One thing that's happening, actually starting tomorrow, Friday, St. Mary and St. Andrew Church is doing their annual fish fry during Lent from 4 until 7 p.m. So if anyone wants to have a fish dinner during the Fridays in Lent. It's a good fundraiser for the church. The funds go toward, among things, as helping provide food for the food pantry and other things that help benefit the community, as well as I said, an opportunity for you to get a nice fish dinner with the Fridays during Lent. More details on that are actually already posted on the town Facebook page and will be posted on our Channel 23 starting next week. And that's all I have.
Mike Machetta.
Okay. I just want to start off first with emergency services. Phone's been ringing and people asking a lot of questions about the silencing of the siren here in the village when there's a fire call. As most people know, and whoever doesn't know, the Pioneer Engine Company building over on Center Street was sold to a private person, which caused the siren to be taken out of service. It is in the hands of the Fire District, the Board of Fire Commissioners. They're trying to relocate it to the top of the Village Hall building if there is enough room up there and if it's permissible. I don't have any more information on it. It's still being spoken about, but if anybody has any questions about it, you can pretty much direct them to the fire commissioners. But they are working on trying to get it back up and back in order to working order again. There really isn't anything to say about the ambulance district meeting that we had. We were just discussing some things with TJ, who's the president of the Ellenville Rescue. There's really nothing to report on that. Maybe in the future as things start to progress, we can report. Yeah, shooting some ideas around, but there's really nothing to report as far as anything that's been done. Reports for the building department. As of January, there was 39 new permits given, 78 inspections, and 15 COs that were finished. I'll jump to the assessor before I go to the village. Renee's report noted that she's been very busy on the phone. A lot of people didn't know about the senior citizens deduction that they can take, and they've been inundated with phone calls. But she was happy to report that the building department permits have been flowing in from the town, and also she has finally received an updated list from the village, which is going to bring that up to date and hopefully make her job a lot easier. And if her job is easier, my job is easier. I attended the village board meeting the other night. There was some pretty bad news that came out of that meeting. Mayor Jeff Kaplan pretty much told the public that the village is broke. They're having some major financial problems. It's not anything that's hidden. Everybody knows about it. They're trying to make things work over there. The reason why I bring it up, and this is the town board, not the village board, but folks need to understand something. The people in the village of Ellenville are also residents of the town of Wawarsing. And if the village doesn't survive, it ends up in the town. So I know that we're trying to work on some things right now with the emergency shelter, which the paperwork has been sent back to our attorney. I know we're trying to work on parks. A lot of things that we're trying to do that haven't been done for a lot of years. We finally got the ball rolling, and they're having some major issues there. This is not a time to point the fingers, and I told you so, and ha-ha. This is a time to be positive, try to work through this, and if it does come down to where the village is no longer, we need to find a way to take it on, because obviously it's going to be in our laps. I wish them the best of luck.
Just ask for transparency, that's all.
Yeah, I just hope that they get out of the hole they're in. If they don't, I know the town is ready to take on the responsibility. Lastly, I attended last week the Hudson Valley Herbals presentation at Cohen's Bakery. Zach Baum, Miranda Bromberg put on. They did a visual presentation of their project that's going to be located at the Old Kelly's Field. Regardless of how anybody feels about cannabis, I wish them the best of luck. They put a lot of time and effort into this project. But more so than that, I just have to say that the environment that we were in that night, the excitement that was in that room of so many new people that have come into the area, and we have to pretty much base it on COVID. COVID came, destroyed a lot of people's lives. People moved out of the city to come up here. These people have moved up here. They're investing in our community, not just the village. They're investing in the town. There are projects that are going to go into town, large projects. Keep an open mind. I know a lot of people don't like to change, but they're investing a lot of money, and they have some very good ideas. This place is going to be revitalized to a point where you've never seen before. The excitement that was there,
60 people.
yeah, the excitement there and the enthusiasm there, it was just so alive. And it was only just a presentation for the plant out in Kelly's Field, but talking with people, listening to what their ideas were, it was mind blowing. And I appreciate being invited there, and I thank everybody for their enthusiasm. That's all I have this evening.
Terry, one other thing I just wanted to mention, and again, this is going to get posted on the town's website and the Facebook page. There is a county-based agricultural exemption that people with large parcels could potentially qualify for. As I said, the details we're going to post on the town Facebook page. We're going to put it up on Channel 23. I just got that document this afternoon, so it's got a short fuse on it. You have to apply by March 30th if you...
No, March 1st.
I'm sorry, March 1st, thank you. By March 1st if you want to take advantage of it. So if anyone has any questions about it, give Town Hall a call tomorrow, but the details as to who to contact at the county, there's a website address, there's a form you have to fill out, and if you have a large parcel that could potentially qualify for agricultural exemption, you've got to do that by March 1st. And now that's all I have.
Well, yes, this is going to be part of the Facebook, correct? So people will be able to see that.
Yep.
Maybe Mr. Rowley could...
It's actually already up on the
if it's
Facebook page.
Or online version or whatever.
Yeah, as soon as I get the details on this,
Right.
we'll go up.
Yeah, it's on the Facebook page already, but I'll give you the details, Chris.
Okay. Counting personnel has been mentioned. Cindy Schmalzi's retiring. We wish her the best in retirement. And I would thank her for the, was it 10 years she's been here? Is it 10? I believe it. I think it was
Yes.
10.
Yes.
And, yeah, we'll miss her. Did a very good job in what she did. And, we've advertised for a replacement, as Bill mentioned before. Not Bill Carter, but Bill Brown. And, building department, Mike has talked about that a bunch. Parks and Trails, Mr. Brown and I have been in contact with Chris Kelly, who's the first deputy executive of the county. He was one of the executives, right? John Gavars, yeah. He was in the past, but now he's the #1 person behind Jen Metzger, and we have matching 100,000 matching grants. So the way it works, it will be that if the town puts up 100,000, they'll match 100,000. They're doing that for basically applications for all 20 towns and 3 villages in the county. And out of the 100,000 that we put up, 25,000 of it can be an in-kind circumstance. So actual dollar amounts would be 75,000. So that's a pretty good thing. We'll be supporting the village for the Burn Road Park. That could be a possibility of $200,000 right there. And so that's a good thing. And I think I'm going to take it easy tonight and call it for an adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
I think Cassie.
Yeah, before we adjourn, I'd just like to acknowledge Kate.
Hello, Kate.
Hello, Kate.
Spore, who is doing a little project for some public service credits, and she's been taping our meetings. It went a little better tonight than her first shot at it here. It was pretty dramatic. Thank you very much, and you did a great job.
Thank you.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Whoa. Does John have any? Give me one comment
John.
from the county.
Apparently I missed a good meeting. I don't know what the plan after that.
Well, tell us something that's going on in the county.
Last night, most of you, I think, were there, the county address, state of the county.
Right,
I think
yeah,
that was very telling that, the county executive recognizes the lack of attention that this end of the county has gotten, and I think she's committed herself. And this is not new for County Executive Metzger. Even when she was state senator, she organized a stream bank cleanup day which not very many local people attended, unfortunately. There were some of us that were there, but not enough, but still, she was, you know, she's from Rosendale. She was a state senator, and she organized something in here in Ellenville and Wawarsing. The services that which I mentioned in previous meetings, Trudy Farber, there's a significant amount of money being pumped into that building to refurbish it and also bring services there. And there's talk of that there may potentially be more services than what that building can hold. So that there may be opportunities for other locations within the town and village that services would be on a rolling basis. I can envision, I'm not saying that it's gonna happen, I'm saying I can envision where there would be more DMV days available at this end of the county. Because I know there's a big need. It seems to be that DMV is pretty full up there at the Kingston location, and even with the bus service, I mean, I'm sure Terry sees it, that there's a line out, you know, in the parking lot
Yes,
here.
quite a line. Yep.
Yeah, I think more than one day a week is,
Probably could work.
yeah, I think there's
And
enough
it's
need
needed,
for it.
yeah.
And I think you've got, you know, the other side of the ridge here, the mountain, you know, the Shaman side, it's much closer to come here than it is to go to Kingston, and I think there's opportunities there, so, I think this year, you know, with Jen, with her focus, I think you're gonna see a lot more happening.
Yeah, it was interesting to see her have it, the event here, and when she was a senator, we were talking all the time, it was like speed dial. She did bring a $100,000 grant to the Port Bend bridge situation, but we, you know, there were some other initiatives that it took, like, I think we just got the money last year, but what's going on since the pandemic as far as processing of grants and stuff has been slow as molasses, to be polite. But again, that comment that you made early on in your conversation about being recognized, that's been an age-old type of thing, you know, over the years. That has been the comment from the county as far as, you know, I think now we hope to get, and actually in the last probably 5 or 6 years since that $1 million money, it's been kind of really, even though it wasn't, you know, you could probably criticize that $1 million money phase, but I think all in all, there's been a lot more attention down for our town here, and that's a good thing. So I think.
Now we want to adjourn, right?
No, I won't make the motion, I got shot down twice.
I'll make it.
So moved. Second.
I think I've rethought I have a lot more to say.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so that's Mike makes a motion, Bill seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Bill Kyer.